When I say 49ers Cowboys in the postseason, what is the first thing that you think of? This is Charles in San Jose. And before I open up Ray in his memory lane, Charles, I wanted to hit you first so Ray can't steal any thunder from you. What is the first thing you think of when you hear 49ers Cowboys postseason?
All right. Growing up a Niner fan in the 90s, the one that terrifies me, gives me trauma, is hearing Jimmy Johnson say, "How about them Cowboys?" and watching Charles Haley destroy our quarterback. And always knowing that this was the Super Bowl. The conference championship was the Super Bowl in the 90s with the Cowboys and Niners. But yeah, how about them Cowboys still haunts me. I do not want to hear that again. It still to this day gives me tremors because I wasn't around for the catch. That's what I grew up with. And yeah, I really want to get to the Cowboys this weekend. But yeah, how about them Cowboys? Oof, gives me chills.
I appreciate the honesty, Charles. I figured people would be calling in wanting to go right to directly good memories, but we remember the sports bitter more than we remember the sports sweet. And that it was a hugely bitter moment. There was a loss in the NFC title game at Candlestick, and you had Jimmy Johnson in that away locker room with the bad, tiled, there was nothing special to an away locker room back then. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't pretty. It was like a caged locker, especially a Candlestick. It was just an ugly room compared to the modern facilities and amenities. And it's him standing basically on a card table in the middle of this completely white, unimpressive locker room with the same tiling that is above us here in this studio, basically, saying something that it probably didn't sound memorable coming out of his own mouth. It is the signature. It is as attached to the Dallas Cowboys as, as any Raiderism, just win baby, was ever attached to the Raiders. How about them Cowboys is still alive 30 years after it happening.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Ugh. Ray, what's your go-to Dallas Cowboy 49er playoff memory?
Oh, it's Preston Riley. It's the moment that this became a rivalry that transcends time. When the 49ers had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter of the 72 conference championship against the Cowboys. If they win, they'd play the Raiders in the Super Bowl. Instead, the Cowboys get a field goal, they get a touchdown, they cut it to 5, they kick an onside kick. Preston Riley was a wide receiver on the hands team, fumbled the onside kick. The Cowboys recover, march down the field, score. They go to the Super Bowl and they win.
30-28, Cowboys winning at Candlestick, 1972 playoffs, the NFC divisional playoffs, the first meeting at Candlestick Park. The 49ers, again, gave up a 21-3 lead in that game and were up 28-13 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they and that was the third year in a row they had played the Cowboys. They lost each time. And they needed to get one, and the fact that they couldn't get that one and the way they lost it, that stuck with people well into the 80s and 90s. And even the 81 game didn't fully wash that away because the Cowboys were all of a sudden, of all the teams in the NFL, the team that 49er fans learned to hate most and loudest. More than the Rams, more than the Giants, more than anybody.
Well, that's saying something, right? I mean, that is significantly saying something between two teams that officially have history and great fans and trophy cases that other NFL teams would be envious of. The fact that if you really wanted to boil it down, who is the single biggest rivalry in the history of the 49ers? I mean, the Seahawks very much lived up to that role for a while. The Rams, for a moment there, lived up to that role because you got to play the L.A., Southern California versus Northern California geographical tie-in too. But the truth is it's probably 49ers Cowboys.
Yeah, this is the
Packers also entered the conversation with Brett Favre.
But this goes back 50 years. Favre doesn't. Seahawks don't. This is the one that keeps cropping up, even though they haven't played each other in a playoff game since, I think, 94.
They played last year.
I'm sorry, you're right, last year. Other than that one, before that, you go back to 94, I think. And the truth is, it's still those games still stick for reasons that you wouldn't think they would because they don't play that often. But every game represented either, an enormous triumph or devastating heartbreak in San Francisco.
Cowboys lead the all-time series. This includes regular season by just one game. The all-time series is 19, 18, and 1. The postseason series, Cowboys got a 2-game lead. They're 5-3 all-time against the 49ers. So the 49ers winning that last meeting, 23-17 win in Dallas on the road to SoFi Stadium last year, where they obviously ran into the Rams at the NFC title game. But here we go. I mean, it's true football royalty when these two teams get together in the postseason. Two franchises combining for 10 Super Bowl wins. That's not bad. 15 NFC championships between the both of them. Cowboys got 8, and the 49ers got 7. That's significant. So the fact that these two teams meet again and the 49ers not only have a chance to beat the Cowboys on the way to the NFC title game, but if the New York Giants are able to shock Philadelphia, the 49ers beat, and you'll know because the 49ers, they play the final game of the weekend, which means they're going to know, are we hosting an NFC championship game with a win or simply going to one in Philadelphia? They will know by the time this game kicks off on Sunday night. It should be very, very fun, man, because styles make fights, and these two teams got similar styles. I tell you, Dallas last night had a luxury afforded to them that the 49ers will not afford to them. The Cowboys last night basically spent the entire evening with two deep safeties saying, all right, we know you're going to throw, we know you're not going to run, so we're just going to try to take as much away in terms of big, deep plays from Tom Brady, and we're gonna give up everything underneath, but nothing deep and up top. And so they played that, what do you want to call it, a shell, two deep safeties, almost the entire game, which leaves an awfully light box up front. Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not even try to take advantage of a light box up front. You do that against the San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Elijah Mitchell are going to run for 220 yards on you. That's going to be how Dallas takes their last game plan and pretty much has to go about just crinkling it up because that's not going to work against the 49ers.
No, the Tampa Bay abandoned its running game weeks ago.
Yeah, like week 6.
And Leonard Fournette was supposed to be an impact guy for them. You saw last night how much impact he had. 5 carries, 11 yards. One pass catch for 6 yards. I mean, they didn't run. They didn't want to run, which is why Brady ends up throwing 66 passes and throws 799 for the year. They were a one-dimensional team with an average defense. They were 8-9 on merit, and they played like it last night. They got what they deserved, and they got it the way they deserved it.